When she gets involved with something, she attaches a passion to it, which makes it even stronger. At any rate, the ultimate on all that was that she and I became very close, and I decided I want to continue to work with her to make sure that the story she wants to tell gets made.
At 88, Robert Redford is opening up about the one love story that has remained closest to his heart. And it's one that has captivated fans for decades. In a rare and emotional confession, the legendary actor has revealed the truth behind the rumors that have surrounded his personal life. But who was the woman who captured Redford's heart in such a profound way? And why has this love story remained so deeply private for all these years? Join us as we uncover the tender truth as to why, at 88, Robert Redford decided to confirm the rumors about the love of his life. The romantic history. Robert Redford's romantic life appears to be fascinating, but he does not talk about them, seeing as he likes to keep his life private. Almost 3 decades of marriage with his first wife, Lola Van Wagenen. Later, Redford had notable relationships with actresses Sonia Braga and Lena Olin, and a long-term partnership with costume designer Cathy O'Rear. However, his most profound connection in recent years seems to be with Sybil Sagers. But how did he get to the relationship he is in now? Let's find out. Robert Redford and Lola Van Wagenen first met in the late 1950s at the University of Utah. According to reports, they were introduced by mutual friends and instantly hit it off. At the time, a budding actor, Redford was smitten by Lola, an intelligent, charismatic woman with an entrenched sense of individuality. In turn, he admired Lola's passion for art, her enthusiasm, and the fact that she nurtured a dream of acting, a combination or culmination of shared values and a mutual understanding of each other's aspirations makes them grow together. Their romance blossomed in the times of glamour and excess in Hollywood. But for more reasons, Redford and Lola shared a more down-to-earth connection, was not starry-eyed by the budding fame of Redford, and she appreciated more his artist side rather than the rising celebrity that he was turning out to be. With their different lifestyles and their humble introduction to each other, how was their life afterwards, and did it have a fairy tale ending? His first love. Robert Redford, young and starting life, and Lola Van Wagenen had a burning desire to reach the pinnacle of success in Hollywood and also to contribute something to others in life. Redford was still to get his big break in Hollywood, while Lola was studying history with an interest in social causes. Their association grew fast, and they married in 1958, raising a family with 4 children: Scott, Shauna, David, and Amy. History. But ironically, their venture into parenthood was really born from heartbreaking loss. Their firstborn, Scott, had died of SIDS when he was 2 months old. The pain of losing a son stamped a mark in the hearts of each. Redford would later say the grief from the loss stayed with him and deeply colored how he looked at the world and people. Before this overwhelmingly sad incident, the couple had to lean on each other for strength.
I was excited. How could you not be? I was in land that I love, doing something that I love, that I understand, it's nice to do something you know, or to be able to exhibit something that you know about.
Their bond being tested, never broken by tragedy. While Redford's career took flight, he went from rising star to Hollywood icon. Lola forged her own trail, an ardent advocate for environmental and social causes. She was a co-founder of the Clio Visualizing History Project, which was aimed at education. Their lives were full of shared values, but as Redford's star rose, while they struggled to hold the partnership together, the pressures of his career and their separate interests started to drive them apart. The marriage, which was based on respect and love, finally pushed them to divorce in 1985, after nearly 3 decades of marriage, With the end of his marriage, did Redford solely focus on his career, or did he explore other relationships? New relationships. Since his 1985 divorce with Lola Van Wagenen, Redford has successfully dated other women. He was once linked to Sonia Braga and Lena Olin, both actresses. These women he married had lovely characteristics for a short time, but these relations were not as last as his first marriage. Despite being in a long-term relationship, throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Redford had a professional working relationship with costume designer Cathy O'Rear, who he was involved with for several years until their matured professional decision ended their interactions. Nevertheless, none of the prior romances appeared to impact him spiritually in the same way as his relationship with Sibylle Sagers, a German-born artist. Both Redford and Sagers first crossed paths in 1996, when the woman joined an event held at his Sundance resort in Utah. Sagers, who was closely engaged with environmental and artistic activities, immediately got acquainted with Redford, for whose work both environmental and artistic interests were characteristic. And over the years, the relationship between the two companies became more intimate, as both were environmentally sensitive. Sagers, who is a painter, has heard about Redford's appreciation of creativity and work to save nature via the Sundance Institute and to fund it. Their love grew, and in 2009, after being together for more than a decade, Redford and Sagers tied the knot secretly in Hamburg, Germany.
That I said to Billy, if there's anything I can do or any way I can support in any way, I would love to do that. But it's her deal, it's her program, it's her concept.
While many celebrity weddings have been known to be grand and big affairs, the wedding ceremony was a private one, with only close friends and family present. This private approach was apparently fostered by their wish to lead an ordinary, unspectacular life and be close to the ground. The two have since then been an official item, both personally and professionally, thanks to their passion for art, nature, and social concerns. Redford has often spoken about the transformative effect Sagers has had on his life. In various interviews, he has referred to her as someone who brought him a whole new life, emphasizing the profound emotional and spiritual renewal he found through their relationship. Redford has expressed that Sagers' perspective on art and the environment has broadened his own worldview and has deeply influenced his approach to life. The couple's shared values and creative energy have resulted in collaborations that go beyond their personal lives, particularly in environmental activism. Together, they founded The Way of the Rain. The initiative showcases Sagers' own art, focusing on nature's beauty and fragility, and uses it as a vehicle to advocate for environmental change. Redford has supported her efforts fully, and their combined influence has made them an influential couple in both artistic and environmental circles. Seeing as many celebrities then and now always complain about the stress of fame and how it takes a toll on their personal lives, how did it affect Redford? And what did he do to overcome that strain? The strain of fame. How Hollywood affected Robert Redford's interpersonal relationships can be said to have been high because the experience influenced the kind of interactions that he had and the kind of family he nurtured. Late into the 1960s and 1970s, he became a prominent icon in the entertainment market, despite the fact that fame presented unprecedented issues in his lifetime. His first marriage to Lola Van Wagenen, a union that spanned more than a quarter century, got tangled with Hollywood success. Though they had a grounded relationship that developed as a result of common values and goals they had in mind, Redford's growing career demand was a cause of strain on their relationship. They say that he is on the rise, therefore his workload and travel time would increase. He would get more attention from the public, and general demands would rise. This stress added to the grief that both experienced from the loss of their first child, which led to their separation and divorce in 1985. In admission, Redford has confessed that fame was a key factor in the breakdown of their marriage. And although they parted on good terms, the experience left deep emotional residues. After the divorce, Redford got involved with several actresses, including Sonia Braga, Lena Olin, and costume designer Kathy O'Rear, all of whom fell prey to the intrusiveness of fame. The details about Redford's private life were always scarce.
Yeah, starting with The Way We Were, I think Sidney Pollack deserves the lion's share of the credit for that. That really was his film, and I was happy to be in it.
And those relationships were no different, since he was rather a private man. But the nature of his biography was such that the pressure on the Man of the Year, by definition, interfered with creating truly deep and lasting friendships. Such desire for privacy and such fear of the spotlight was the reason why Redford looked for partners who would embrace all that he was going through. Redford has said that with Saggers, there was a whole new life introduced into his world, signifying that certainly their relationship has helped him balance being a celebrity with being a man. The husband and wife have done some artistic and environmental projects simultaneously, which has made them even closer. As well, Redford has benefited from and suffered for Hollywood in his relations with people. Although it helped him give something back to the entertainment industry and issues that are dear to him, it was a real nightmare for his private life. Fame churned out isolation, tension, and dissolution of his initial marriage, but gave birth to a less glamorous and stable relationship with Saggers. Love and parenthood, as well as all pros and cons of work and coming of age in Hollywood, reveal a flawed yet realistic picture of stardom. With the way Redford constantly talks about his wife and sings her praise for anyone to hear, how has this relationship changed him? How the relationships shaped him. Robert Redford's life and career have been deeply shaped by a series of important relationships that have influenced both his identity and his creative output. These connections have not only informed his roles in front of the camera, but also his work behind the scenes as a director and environmental advocate. One of the saddest stories of Redford's life was the tragic deaths of his firstborn, Scott, and his other son, James, whom he lost recently after being diagnosed with liver cancer. He has done interviews about how this reshaped his attitude toward life. He became more thoughtful and not concerned with such things as recognition and money. Redford's loss of a child devastated his emotional formation and affected his portrayal of love and family throughout his acting career in motion pictures that depicted grief and pain, solace and forgiveness. This loss also became an active element in his work as the director, for example, in Ordinary People, focusing on how a family tries to come to terms with the death of a son. Other than the family and friends relationships, Redford followed significant professional relationships regarding his career, either in the acting or directing ting departments. Some of the finest directors that he has worked with include Sidney Pollack with the likes of The Way We Were in 1973 and Out of Africa in 1985. Pollack's writings played a role in assisting Redford. What Pollack was able to do with Redford was tap that vulnerability that most of the more sensitive actors have and get them to express deeper emotions in their characters. Concerning the formative years of Redford, his first 9 movies are equally important, and so is his connection with his first director, John Ford. Ford's method of telling the story and bigger than life. Westerns influenced Redford further as an actor, especially in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in 1969. This was also evident that Ford's influence also taught Redford the importance of filmmaking as an art form, which later he also directed the movies. His love and loss shaped his performance of profound characters with sexual feelings, which are seen in the movies The Great Gatsby in 1974 and The Horse Whisperer in 1998. Also, in his off-screen real life, the promotion of environmental causes, leadership, and relationships through films also contributed to his directorial careers, especially in Ordinary People and The Legend of Bagger Vance in 2000, which are hereby linked to healing, redemption, and the search for identity. The relationships that shaped Robert Redford's life reveal a man who has navigated both love and loss with a deep sense of introspection.
And at that time, I think Ben Bradley was basically adhering to Katharine Graham, who was the main person behind the post. And she was under threat, so he was out to protect her.
These personal connections not only influenced his roles and his work as a director, but also helped to define the values he has lived by, particularly those centered around family, creativity, environmental advocacy, and the enduring impact of meaningful relationships. Seeing how his life has been for the death of his son, his divorce, and his current marriage, has Redford, as an actor and a director, imparted these feelings into his roles. Love and loss in Redford's acting roles. Some of the observed themes are the main focus in Robert Redford's private life, and it can be safely assumed that they have left their mark on some of the most famous characters created by the actor. Loss of his son Scott, first divorce, deep emotional relationships he met over the years, all these actual life events influenced both his acting and his director activity. The manner in which he portrayed these themes in cinema has as much to do with his philosophy of life as it has with the images of his maturation out of pain. Love and loss are important themes that Redford's characters try to solve, and those are the themes that are closest to the heart of the director/actor. One example here is his Hubble character in The Way We Were in 1973, where it picks the theme of lost love. One of the main dependencies connects Hubble with Katie to characters in the show. Despite their great passion, the couple breaks apart because of their basically different goals and plans. This is presumably the reason Redford, who has personally experienced love, loss of spouse, Lola Van Wagenen, and personal grief over the death of his son at the time, used this script to portray a man who must face the rather unavoidable prospect of losing something that is dear to him. In Out of Africa in 1985, Redford's portrayal of the rugged and charismatic hunter Dennis Finch Hatton, a character in the show, involves themes of both romantic love and the harsh realities of loss. His relationship with Karen Blixen, played by Meryl Streep, is marked by both deep affection and the sorrow of unfulfilled desires, as the characters are ultimately torn apart by the unpredictability of life and denies tragic fate. The loss in this film is not just physical but emotional, as both characters grapple with the pain of separation and the passage of time. Redford's personal grief, especially the loss of his son Scott, likely influenced his nuanced performance, allowing him to convey a depth of sorrow and longing that makes the film's ending particularly poignant. As a director, Redford has often explored themes of love and loss in his films, using them as a lens through which to examine larger societal issues. Ordinary People, in 1980, for which Redford won the Academy Award for Best Director, centers on a family coping with the death of a son and the emotional fallout that ensues. The film's portrayal of grief and the strain it places on relationships resonates with Redford's own experiences of loss. His direction focuses on the impact of that loss on the surviving members of the family, particularly the relationship between the mother and surviving son, making it a deeply personal exploration of how love and loss intersect within a family dynamic. In 1998, Another one of Redford's directorial efforts, themes of healing from trauma and the complexity of personal relationships are explored. The film follows a young woman and her horse recovering from a traumatic accident, with the character of Tom Booker, played by Redford, acting as a healer who helps them both to move forward. The film speaks to Redford's personal understanding of how love and loss shape a person's journey through life, offering both redemption and the difficult realization that some wounds cannot be fully healed. His own grief from personal losses, especially the death of his son, likely informed his portrayal of a man who, though deeply scarred, chooses to help others heal. With these many instances, it can be seen how Redford's personal experiences with love and loss also speak to his broader exploration of the human condition in his films. His characters often face the struggle to find balance between emotional fulfillment and the realities of life's unpredictability, whether it's the idealistic love in The Way We Were, the tragic but beautiful romance in Out of Africa, or the familial healing in Ordinary People. Redford's films often deal with the tension between the desire for connection and the inevitable pain that comes with it. This reflects his own journey of learning to live with loss while still seeking meaningful relationships and personal growth. In many of these films, the settings themselves, or the quiet, introspective atmosphere of ordinary people, become metaphors for the emotional terrain of the characters. Just as Redford's characters often confront the emptiness that follows loss, the visual elements in his films reflect the internal emotional landscapes of his characters, underscoring the power of place in shaping the human experience. Through his performances and directorial work, Robert Redford has left a lasting legacy in Hollywood, not only as a leading man, but as a filmmaker who deeply understands the complexities of love and loss.
This was a perfect role for him to play because he could just bark. You know, he loves to bark. He loves to get angry. He loves to really explode. And so this gave him a great chance.
His personal experiences have informed his work in ways that make his films resonate with audiences on a deeply emotional level. The themes of love, loss, and the human condition are woven into the fabric of his iconic roles, making his work not just entertainment, but a reflective exploration of the heartache and healing that define the human experience.
How have all of Redford's connections impacted him and helped him overcome and see him through difficult times? Value of deep emotional connections.
Redford's rare public acknowledgement of a profound past love is striking because of the actor's reputation for privacy. Throughout his career, Redford has been a fiercely private individual, often keeping his personal life away from the media spotlight. His confession in later years suggests a level of vulnerability and honesty that had previously been rare for him. This openness contrasts with the more guarded persona he had earlier in his career. It reveals a man who, in his later years, is willing to express his emotions and acknowledge the deeper connections he has had, even if those relationships were not fully understood or acknowledged by the public. This candidness can be seen as a form of self-acceptance, where Redford is unafraid to reflect on his past with authenticity. Redford's statement about his current wife emphasizes the value he places on deep, genuine emotional connections. Throughout his life, Redford has been known for his intense relationships and has openly stated that he treasures meaningful connections over superficial ones. His confession shows that despite the whirlwind of his Hollywood fame and the public persona that accompanied it, Redford longed for real, intimate bonds. His romantic history, including his marriage to Lola Van Wagenen and his later partnership with Sybil Zaggers, indicates that for Redford, love is not just about surface attraction, but about finding someone with whom he can truly connect on a deeper emotional and intellectual level. The timing of Redford's confession, at the age of 88, also speaks to a man reflecting on his life and relationships. After decades of fame, personal trials, and public scrutiny, Redford appears to be revisiting his past with a sense of clarity and wisdom that comes with age. By admitting that someone was the love of his life, he acknowledges both the highs and lows of his relationships, possibly suggesting that love, while sometimes fleeting or unfulfilled, remains one of the most significant and transformative experiences of his life. This confession can be interpreted as Redford's recognition that, despite the challenges he faced, the emotional bonds he formed were integral to shaping who he became as both a man and an artist. In addition to the emotional depth of his confession, Redford's decision to speak about this love to a minimal level reflects his continued reverence for privacy. It indicates that, even in his later years, Redford values a sense of personal integrity. He is willing to open up emotionally, but still guards aspects of his personal life. This balance between vulnerability and privacy highlights his belief in maintaining dignity and respect for others, even when revealing personal truths. His confession also contributes to his legacy, as it adds a layer of emotional richness to his public persona that had been previously obscured by his often distant and reserved nature in the public eye. In conclusion, Redford's confession about the love of his life highlights a deeper emotional honesty and an appreciation for meaningful connections, showing a man who, over time, has come to value love not just as a passing moment, but as a defining experience. It speaks to his personal growth and evolving understanding of relationships, all while preserving the privacy and integrity that he has long prized. With him retiring and focusing on environmental projects with his wife, what is the next step for Robert Redford? And will we feel his mark on the set of Hollywood with his departure? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the following video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.